would yell, "Let's go Pilots." And the first team he came on were all seniors, and they were all pretty reserved and really good guys, had been there a long time, knew the routine, and all of a sudden this guy's stepping in there, "Let's go Pilots!" It was awesome. I mean, like, they're kind of looking at each other like, what do we make of this? And it's like, okay, this is cool. We needed this. This is exactly what we needed, you know? And in November, when it's rainy and it's dreary, and you got a guy like that, man, it just brings the energy up. And all of us who are around him, me included, you know, we'll always take that with us. Respectful of teammates. We had an administrator, we always do, come in last week and, you know, tell us all the things that we can't do as athletes, and, you know, hazing is this big thing, you know. I mean, Reid was the only senior. Stefan, who I mentioned, was here for, you know, it was his first year, but he was a senior too. But Reid is, you know, I think the worst thing he did was call freshmen freshies. And he loved that. And they loved that. There was nothing, I mean, it was just nothing but respect. He knew that for him to be successful, our team needed to be successful. For our team needed to be successful, those guys needed to feel important, not demeaned. And everything he did was about being that kind of a leader, about raising people up. And I can't teach that, you know. That's just leadership that comes from parents and from future past coaches. And you know, I can kind of guide him in a way that, hey, maybe this is how I see it kind of going, or what we need. But the way he took control of that, in probably the hardest year of life for a lot of people, I feel like that senior year and that year right after, such difficult transition times that we're trying to figure ourselves out. I know it was my hardest couple of years. And he was going through that. He was trying to figure out what he was going to do for the rest of his life. And he could have done a zillion things. I thought he was going to be like Colin Cowherd on the radio. He knew everything about sports and amazing with people. I mean, he had so many options. It wasn't like, oh my God, there's nothing for me to do. I'm just a tennis player. He was tons of things, as you know, most of you who maybe don't even know that much about tennis can attest, who are here for him today. But just that respect. Sportsmanship, you know, again, when he was younger, maybe we didn't, you know, there's a lot of kids we don't equate sportsmanship with as being younger. But Reid was as tough a competitor as we've had. Would yell "Vamos" as loud as he could after you double faulted sometimes, which, you know, okay, we're gonna be a little mellow on that, but I think the thing that was the surest sign of sportsmanship for Reid, though, was win or lose. And it wasn't just the hypocritical, oh, I won, so now I'm going to be nice and talk to you. It was win or lose. 10 minutes later, he was talking to some guy about, you know, what they were going to do this summer, or, you know, I mean, whatever it is. It was just like there was always a friend there. And it never made me worried that Reid cared any less that he had lost or anything. It's just that's who he was, you know. It was like he was in a relationship with this guy on the court. You know, he didn't see it as like, I hate you or you hate me, or, you know, someone has to, you know, be demeaned or feel bad in order for this to go my way. It was, you know, hey, we're going to do this for 2 hours, and then it's going to be over, and we're going to go on with our lives. And it was just an amazing, an amazing ability to care so much about what he did, and yet at the same time understand that really, you know, we're all here just trying to feel how can we connect, and how can we respect each other. And in competition, that's really difficult sometimes. I'm just going to read this really quick, just on sportsmanship. Over the last couple of weeks, I've had so many texts, emails, messages from college coaches, players, ex-players, people who knew Reid a little bit, people who didn't know him at all. And I got one from one of his better wins his junior year was over a guy named Sam Verbeek from University of Pacific, an excellent player, won the regionals in our region a couple of years ago over Stanford and Cal and all those guys, and Reid beat him his junior year in a huge match in our building. And Sam sent me this this email just out of the blue, and I've never really talked to this kid Sam, but he said, "We considered Reid as one of the most sincere sportsmen in our conference. Above that, though, he was always one of the brightest, happiest, and truest people we had the pleasure of meeting. It is through this email, we, as the whole Pacific men's tennis team, would like to extend our sincere condolences to the community. Our thoughts are with his family and those he affected." And again, this is a guy that he beat. This is a guy whose team we've had really, really close matches over the last couple of years. And he competed as hard or harder than anyone in those matches, you know. And so that sportsmanship element was always there for us. road trips are the best thing in college tennis. Okay, they are the funnest thing. From getting in the van, right as soon as we get in the van, we're hearing who the Seahawks are playing this weekend, who's on his fantasy team, and you know, everybody's going the same boat. Everybody's kind of talking about their thing, and we have about half international players on our team and half Americans, and it's just awesome how everyone learning about everyone else, and we're having, you know, arguments over whether, you know, was it Tim Dempsey? What's the soccer guy's name? Clint Dempsey. That's his favorite player. He would kill me. He would be so mad. Clint Dempsey and Alan, you know, our Spanish kids would be like, "Who's Clint Dempsey? He's not even a player, is he?" And you know, the arguments would go on. But the road trips were unbelievable. So much fun. I mean, the dinners. I can remember every single dinner. We would take a picture almost in every single dinner just to kind of remember the occasions because they're just so, you know, just so much fun. I remember we both, Reid and I shared a love of Game of Thrones, but I really didn't like to talk to him about it because I knew that his dad Bob had read all the books. And so Reid said, he didn't tell me. I'm like, I don't trust you. I know your dad told you, you know. And I love the show, and I didn't want him to spoil it for me on Sunday, so we would have a real delicate conversation about it. We had a lot of real similarities, I think, and that's, you know, we clicked pretty well as a coach and a player, and I feel like we would have clicked really well as kind of friends through life, you know, and I really regret and feel sad that that's not going to happen, but I really feel like he would be one of those guys that I'd be connected with forever. You know, I touched on this a little bit. He lived for the challenge of a tough match. A lot of people say at the end of a basketball game, I want the ball. Most people don't really feel it. I mean, Reid really wanted to play someone good. He really wanted that match to be close. And I don't know. I can't admit that I always want to go to St. Mary's and it to be a 4-3 match. I mean, I kind of want, you know, I want to win 4-0. But Reid loved that closeness. He loved that pressure. You know, and it's a really special trait of a great competitor. The thing I was just thinking about, he was a human encyclopedia when it came to tennis. I mean, he in most sports, but tennis, he knew everyone. Like from playing somebody at the 14s tournament in, you know, Arkansas or whatever. I mean, he had a book on everyone in his head. So the night before a match, he'd come to me, you know, and we're weary. We're in the middle of like 6 matches over 12 days or something. He'd come to me, okay, Aaron. So he called me coach. So coach, you know, this guy does this. His backhand's weaker. You know, you got to go down the line with this guy's forehand. And then he would come back to, he would go, you know, I really think I match up best with so-and-so. And so-and-so always happened to be the #1 player on the team. And so I'm like, Reid. And sometimes I was good with that, but sometimes I would have to go to reverse psychology. Well, actually, Reid, because your kick serve is so good on the slower court, I actually think maybe the #2 guy you know what you're doing. You would try and work me on that a decent amount of times. I think lastly, and there's, again, like Jesse said, I could talk forever, but lastly there was, you know, I think I brought this picture up here because I think it's my favorite picture in life at this point. You know, as a college tennis player, the epitome of this picture right here, this happened last April, and I don't know if the light shines on it or not. This happened last April. We were in Spokane playing Gonzaga, and there's a little pressure when we play Gonzaga because we've never lost to them. And we're not going to lose to them this year, guys. But there's a little pressure, okay? And Reid and Stefan came out in the doubles, and we played doubles first, and they won their match, played great as usual, came through. The other 2 teams, 2 and 3, we lost, and, you know, didn't play great. And so we're down 1-0. So at this moment, we all come together, and we have a little meeting, and I say a few words, and Reid, being the captain of the team, is kind of there, and you can kind of see him in the picture, and I was sharing this with Bob a little bit earlier. Reid has every moment at that point, every reason at that point to think, you know what, I did my job, and you guys let me down. You know, I mean, I don't think that people think that a lot, but you know, he's ending his college career, and he doesn't want to be the guy on the team that lost this match, and he did his job there. And there's no doubt in my mind that at that point, Reid's effect on all of our young guys, and we have a lot of young guys at that point, of the 6 guys going out to play singles right after that, where all those matches count as a point, All 6 of them went out, and 5 of them won. The only person who didn't win was Reid. Okay, and I guarantee you, and I can remember it, after that match, Reid was no less disappointed that he lost his singles match. He was no more frustrated that we didn't win the doubles point. It had become truly a team endeavor for him. I mean, this was a victory for him in almost every sense of the word. And that's what, you know, evolving into really understanding what college tennis is about. It's like, of course, we all grew up not wanting to lose and not, you know, in this individual sport. But you get to this place where these guys are your brothers. I mean, these guys were Reid's brothers. The guys who aren't able to be here, who graduated a year ago, they're Reid's brothers, and they always will be. And, you know, I don't know how to look at him. I don't want to, you know, even pretend to be another father, or just some kind of a mentor in his life that maybe enriched his life a little bit and provided these amazing guys to kind of be part of his brotherhood, because it is such a special thing, the amount of time these guys have spent together. I'm just going to close this up because there's one person who couldn't be here tonight, or today, named Alex Ferrero. And Alex was one of those 4 seniors who finished with Reid. He was one of the 4 seniors when Reid came as a junior. And these guys were tight as could be, the 4 seniors. And again, Reid was kind of like, everyone knew he was good, but we didn't know, like, team chemistry-wise. And like I said, as soon as he came in, it was obvious he was the right fit. But Alex is, you know, he's a very proud and very, I mean, he bleeds pilot purple. He loves it. But Alex we've talked a lot since Reid's passing, and Alex has taken it pretty hard. And he wrote a note, and I asked him if I could share this. I'm just going to read this really quickly. This is from Alex. He's from Spain. He's back in Barcelona right now working, so he couldn't be here, but I'm going to read this for him. He said, "I have so many fond memories of Reid and I, but there are 2 of them that go above them all. The first one is when I first met Reid. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was summer 2013, and I was taking summer classes that year. Mike Hukwo, who was Alex's good friend, had left, and suddenly I was alone in Portland since everyone else was on vacation. Even Kent Andreessen, who's here, left for a couple weeks on a cruise. Out of nowhere, I got a random call from this new kid coming to the team, Reid de Lobenfels. I was kind of surprised since I didn't know him at all, and he called me like as if we were best friends forever. He asked me if he could stay at my house since he was coming down to Portland for a couple of days. That's so Reid. I gladly accepted, but I was honestly skeptical due to his extreme friendliness. I don't think I've ever had a better summer than that one, and it was all thanks to Reid. The moment he entered my house, he changed my summer, and the following year with his energy and positiveness, we barely introduced ourselves, and he was already pushing me to do things with him: hit, play soccer, basketball, play FIFA, go to movies, meet new people, etc. He was supposed to stay 2 days, ended up staying for like 2 months. That summer went too fast. The second very special memory I have is the day that we played LMU my senior year at Loyola Marymount. No need to say Reid cruised over his singles as usual. The match was, we were ahead 3-2 for us, and one of our other players, Raton, was not looking too promising. So everyone knew my match would be the deciding one. All of a sudden I have 20 or 30 people around me yelling all kinds of words at me. However, if there was a person I would listen to, it was Reid. Every time I went back to the fence to get the towel or the balls, he was there cheering for me. It was not the normal cheering, like come on or vamos. It was more like demanding. He was telling me, Alex, you are going to win, so shut up and do it. Because I would tell him how nervous I was. As weird as it might sound, he convinced me, and most important, gave me confidence in those moments which are so hard to find a focus. Reid was my focus. Aaron had walked me through the whole match, but listening to a different voice with that conviction and passion lifted me up in order to win that match. I'm sure he did not believe 100% I was going to win. There was no way. But the way he transmitted it, it just didn't matter what he actually thought. It is what he made me feel and believe. I can't express enough how big of a loss this is for me. I just wish I could have hung out with Reid one more time. I still think I owe him many things I never gave him back, and none of them are material. It's crazy how one person I never heard of changed my senior year so much, and always for the better. I love him as a brother, and I will never, ever forget him. And I can speak for the whole University of Portland tennis family that we all feel the exact same way. We'll love Reid forever. Thank you.